And we are underway. Early action into the box, quick shot. The rebound flag went up. Wow, we almost had a quick goal, a theme that we saw last season between these two programs, and Maggie Cagle already trying to get the crowd hyped. A big game for Virginia, Jess.
Yeah, I think that was a lesson that they got against NC State, is they kind of came out a little bit slow, and that really made NC State get on top of them, and they just had trouble getting back into that game. So I think a key for Coach Swanson today for his Cavaliers was, hey, we've got to come out fast and hard and try and get one early. And you saw Cagle there just pumped up. We saw her pumped up before the game as well. It just looks like the Cavaliers are coming out and pressing up high.
Virginia is going to try and turn Virginia Tech over, then build out of the back. A Cavaliers team, as you heard Jess mention, lost to NC State last week, 2-1. A tough game for Steve Swanson's side, who they remain winless in league play so far this year.
I think the little extra time off, Aria, is really good for them. They didn't have to play that Thursday game. I mean, obviously that was a tough game, but they also suffered a lot of injuries that game. And I just think mentally and physically having a little bit longer to rest for this Virginia team and regroup, that game was just so discouraging on a number of levels. They played really well and didn't get the result. That's something we're going to talk about a lot with this young team up front.
We'll see how the Cavaliers respond here this afternoon. They are in those white tops. Virginia Tech in the orange. Now the Hokies will build out of the back. A Hokie team who lost 1-0 at home against a top 10 Clemson team who continues to star and impress in this ACC season under Eddie Radwanski. 1-0 game last week, but 7 days off as a turnover. Now Virginia pushing into the attack. First time cross, looking for Cagle, knocked out of there. Into space, the width here for McCormick, one of the most talented freshmen in the country. Great dispossession. It's 11, Lacey McCormick. All right, appreciate it. Klockner Stadium, the scene for the Commonwealth Clash. Always an exhilarating battle when Virginia and Virginia Tech meet. Doesn't matter what sport, and especially here in soccer, where these two teams have had some dogfights over the last couple of years. Virginia on the year 5-3-5, looking to try and make the ACC tournament. They've got a streak for the NCAA tournament on the line. And the Hokies, who right now have the final spot for the ACC tournament, just 6 teams get an opportunity for a run to carry here in a couple of games. We just got 4 regular season games left, 3 after today. And this is going to be very important. Alongside Jessica Stamp, I'm Aria Masudi. And Virginia with the ball right now in those white tops. Virginia Tech in the orange. This promising for the Cavaliers. And the whistle there. So Jess, with that being said, what do you want to see from both of these teams as we begin this rivalry game?
Well, they got to compete with each other. That's what rivalries are all about, is being competitive, being first to the ball, getting to those 50-50s as well as second balls. But I also think not getting knocked off your game plan. For Virginia, they love to possess. They want to knock the ball around quickly and then penetrate. I think they played with it a little too much at times against NC State, and then it became too late toward the end. So I think they just really have to have some urgency getting forward, trying to get more opportunities. For Virginia Tech, staying organized, not diving in. We've seen them make a few mistakes against teams like Wake Forest where they give the ball away or they dive in. They know there's a lot of technical players on Virginia that they have to deal with. So playing smart as well as playing physical for Virginia Tech's a big key for them.
Just mentioned Virginia lost last week to NC State 2-1 in a game where they got blitzed early. First 10 minutes, couple of goals. Victoria Saffordin with a mistake, getting the start and keep on an own goal. And right now, the Hoos are struggling to find wins. The longest winless streak in program history. They still don't have an ACC victory on the year. They do have 3 draws, which gives them 3 points. In theory, there's enough matches left to be able to make up the ground and get to the ACC tournament to extend the NCAA tournament streak for Steve Swanson, one of the legends in this game.
A really unfamiliar position, isn't it, for Coach Swanson and his Hoos? But it's actually more unusual to have the type of consistent success that they've had over the years. I mean, to be consistently that good to where there's all these records perhaps being broken in a negative way this year. I mean, that is really unusual. It is hard to stay at the top, much harder to stay at the top than to get there. So definitely a unique situation for them where they realize they've got to get points now, major points, to even consider continuing their season.
25 straight NCAAs for Virginia. And if you look at those results individually year by year, many times they make it to the Sweet 16, what they now call the 3rd round. It's not just getting in, it's being successful. Here we go. In transition, the Cavaliers. Final ball, just a little too heavy for McCormack. There's Flamia on the turn. Pretty good ball. Flamia, the sophomore from Goochland, Virginia. Hard tackle, foul called, stoppage of play. Are we going into the book early or just a conversation? A yellow card has been issued, as you see. The season summary for these Cavaliers. An RPI in the 80s. Got to get some wins, Jess, to try and at least give the NCAA committee an opportunity to look at your overall body of work in a strong league.
And there's lots of reasons why they're down there in the 12th spot. I mean, we'll talk about those throughout the game, but they've suffered a lot of injuries, losses. They're very young up front. But this is something that Coach Swanson and Coach Adair talked about, that they've got to capitalize on set pieces more, take advantage of those opportunities, and then also defend them really well, stay focused on these. They become crucial when you're struggling to score.
This is a pretty good opportunity here for Virginia early in this one to try and set the tone. Towards that 6-yard box, dealt with well off that back line. By the way, that yellow card will go to Lauren Gogol. There's a dichotomy and a parallel between Virginia and Virginia Tech. That is the 25th yellow card on Virginia Tech on the year, and Virginia with just 7 of them. Looking again for McCormack. And Skinner clears it off and out of the box. Throw in coming.
So we're already seeing, Aria, that just Virginia's going to dominate possession here, right? Like, that's what they're known for, is keeping the ball. And again, it's more about that final piece. They just tend to send a lot of hopeful crosses into the box and don't connect with each other. We've seen that a little bit already. So I really want to see them pick each other out a bit more, maybe be even more patient around the 18 if the cross isn't on to somebody, then maybe pull it back and swing it around the 18. That was something Coach Swanson talked about, is he really thought that they could keep the ball in the offensive third a little better.
Here's a throw-in coming. Jess, which players do you look to do that?
Well, you saw one right there, right? Maggie Cagle, who we weren't sure would even be in this game after suffering an injury in that NC State game. But it's a matter of just, when you get in those spaces, being patient. You don't always have to send it in if it's not on. You can recycle it. So that might even mean Alexis Theoret getting forward, pushing out as well to keep possession.
That ball slips through, by the way, Jess, and through the legs and in the goal. What a start for Virginia. The mistake from Skinner. I am sure we're going to get another look at this. Yapich on the service. Was just looking for a runner, Jess, but she found the net instead.
Yeah, way to prove me wrong, right? Chloe Yapich just dumping one into the space there, looking for Cagle in behind. And a lot of times it's like hockey. If you just put it in the mix, something might happen, a deflection. But on that one, Cagle didn't even get a part of it, but it dropped right at that sweet spot in front of the keeper where it's so hard to time that skip, that bounce. And she got set right as it hit the floor, and it skipped right through her legs. But that just goes to show you how Chloe Yapich has been so active at just dumping balls in, sending balls into the box, looking for those players. And I tell you what, Ari, it's kind of nice to see some luck go Virginia's way for once, because they just really seem to have an unlucky time recently. And a bit of a cloud over this team the last week. So it's a good start for them, exactly what Coach wanted.
Yapich from that right back spot, her first goal of the season. And unlike last week against NC State, this is a really good start for Virginia and Steve Swanson, especially playing at home against your rival. Tense moments for Virginia Tech in that back line. Now a corner coming.
They look a little bit shaken, don't they, right now? And this is a big 5 minutes after this goal where that emotional element is coming into play, and maybe some sharpness is lacking on that back line for Virginia Tech. So Virginia wants to capitalize in this 5 minutes, see if they can push their lead.
It'll be Cagle from that right flag. Plays it short. Service again coming. They're going to test Virginia Tech. This header skims across. Won't beat Skinner there on the header. It's 11. McCormick. Clearance from Skinner towards midfield. Bryant on the touch. Kokowski. Bryant, hold up play. This is better from Virginia Tech as they grow into the match. Eden Skyers, the transfer from JU. playing that left back position, can get into the attack on the flanks there. Dynamic player for Chugger Adair's Hokies.
Really the first time we've seen her be able to push forward. They just haven't been able to maintain possession.
VT trying to capitalize. Pelkowski into space, the width, Skyers, 1v1. Has it blocked, deflected out. Corner coming for Virginia Tech. Jess, much better there, though, from the Hokies.
Yeah, much better. And they moved up together, so they did a really good job of not forcing a direct ball like they were doing kind of the first 10 minutes or so. They were patient, moved the ball up, and just kind of added numbers, and that allowed Skyers to push forward and create this corner kick opportunity.
Decent ball to that back post. Nodded out, will be a goal kick. As we look at Virginia Tech's season summary, 6th in the ACC, RPI in a decent enough spot. Jess, they've taken care of business against the teams that they're supposed to. They're looking for some quality victories as they finish out the regular season.
And something Coach Adair there is really looking for is more consistency over 90 minutes. And I think he realizes that if they're going to take some points off of these top teams in the league right now, they have to have that. They have to be sharp and on the whole time. They can't kind of lack focus, do any silly giveaways or make silly mistakes, because those top teams will punish you when you do that.
Stouty on the clearance, the captain playing in her 100th career game, the century mark for the senior out of Atlanta, Georgia. Congrats to Talia on that milestone. Top 5 in program history in games played, in games started, in minutes. One of the better players in the conference for the last couple of seasons. Energy early, you can feel it from Virginia. They've come out with the notion. That is a beautiful ball. McDermott's through. That final touch let her down. Couldn't generate enough power to get it by Skinner there. Pretty good defending as well, Jess, right? Just to make that uncomfortable enough for that final touch, not to have enough to get by the keeper.
Especially when it's an early ball like that. You know, typically Virginia kind of works their way up the field, gets into the flank, sends balls across. But an early ball that's kind of unpredictable like that is so dangerous. Fell right in front of McDermott there. And Virginia Tech was aware. They were on her touch tight. Like you said, kind of just were enough on top of her that she couldn't get a clean shot off on goal. I have to mention that Virginia battling this season with a ton of injuries to important players. Hold that thought for a second. McCormack, talented freshman, plays it in, stays with it on the deflection. How about that turn? Turn to the left foot. Big frame, cutting it back. And then sends it into the box, headed out. That header was 20, Victoria Haugen. Big touch, should be a goal kick, it will be. No, rather, it must have taken a touch from a Hokie. Might have been that final of slightest touches because the corner is awarded. That is not rain. That is the Virginia fans stomping their feet against metal bleachers to create momentum for the Hoos. Big chance to try and double their lead for the home side. Cagle went short the first time, does it again. Virginia will play it around. Guidry. So McCormack this time. Palkowski sniffed it out. And now VT in transition. Needing some support on the run.
received.
It's great work there from Polkowski, not just to win that ball, but join the transition, try and help out, and then just maintain possession. If it's not on, it's okay to recycle it and just keep the ball and be patient, open, wait for opened opportunities.
Big touch here. Guidry wins the foot race, clears it out.
Substitution now for the Hokies, coming off number 18.
Mark Guidry, the senior from Plano, Texas,
Coming on, number 19, Samantha.
playing in her 76th career game. As you see, De Guzman, talented youngster coming in for Gogol. Those two have been interchangeable this season. Pretty day in Charlottesville, 62 degrees, slight breeze. It's soccer weather right there. Theoret, Kayla White, the senior back in there, in keep. McCormack trying to get to it, cannot. Here come the Hokies. Deflected, blocked, here we go. Virginia trying to build. Flamia into space. Jopic, the goal scorer. Skinner had to race to it. Stouty, poor ball, didn't get enough on it. Turnover, Virginia Tech now into the attack. On the cross, White goes down. Clean play by the keep, the veteran. We've talked about these games being absolute bangers, Jess. Last season, quick goals wherever you looked. The game ends 3-3. Just a delightful game in Blacksburg.
A wild one there in Blacksburg, really, and just up and down, roller coaster of a game. Shows you the definition of rivalry, doesn't it, between these two squads, and ultimately they split the points. But I think encouraging for Virginia is that some of the names on that field are still on the lineup, and they're the ones that they need to get goals from. But it's Taylor Bryan there that we just saw on the run in our match today up top, putting pressure on the back line. She had 2 against Virginia alone in that game, and she only has 1 goal this year. And I think, Aria, that's a huge key, is they've got to get her more on the scoreboard. So what did they do so well that got her open into space? And so far today, they've been sending her long balls, but she just can't quite get a hold of them.
No doubt. Bryan with a couple of goals there. Back and forth affair in the Commonwealth clash. At times it feels like this season Virginia Tech's best offense has come from playing direct, trying to then put pressure on a back line, turn them over, and find a Taylor Bryan or a Natalie Mitchell with quick combination play, Jess, and putting pressure on the keeper in that way. Whereas Virginia, it's no secret what Steve Swanson wants to do, right? It's graceful, it's pretty play, it's building out of the back, it's connecting passes, etc.
Yeah, a little bit different styles for sure, but I think they're both super effective if you pick when you do things. And I think that was something both coaches talked to us about that they need to get better with, is their decision making. The youth on the team, sometimes he feels like they just don't make the correct decision in the moment, and that does come with youth and inexperience.
Both teams battling a lot of injuries this season. The list goes on and on. Leah Godfrey, Emma Dawson out for the Cavs. They lose Laney Rouse early in the year as well. And I know there's Hokies fans that are saying, well, what about us? Well, yeah, Torrey Powell, Taylor Price, names that you're counting on to be big. Pretty good run, though, from these Hokies. They're trying to level. Need an equalizer after the gaff from the keeper early. Skinner. Virginia smelling blood in the water. Cagle. How good is that ball? Flag goes up. It's McDermott there, Jess. Has a player ever thought that they were actually offside? Do they ever admit to it?
Well, they're not usually looking, so they probably don't know most of the time. But clearly offside there. A good job, Virginia Tech, I think, of holding their line as she was running forward off that flank play. But I love that early ball out of the midfield. Again, that was Thea Rett, who's in that holding six. I think both the sixes here today have looked really good and keeping possession, transitioning, winning the ball. Both coaches were super high on their holding midfielders.
No doubt, big tackle there from Virginia Tech. No call, much to the chagrin of the Who's faithful. I want to remind you that Thursday's women's soccer doubleheader, Boston College will be in Winston-Salem squaring off against Wake Forest at 6 Eastern. Then number 3 North Carolina hosting number 11 Notre Dame at Dorrance Field. Should be a great night right here on ACCN and the ESPN app. Boy, that's going to be important for Carolina and for Notre Dame, as Florida State's kind of taken that advantage for the overall top spot. Right now, the first two teams, by the way, top 2 seeds get a bye, so that very much on the table. And Carolina and Notre Dame, both teams that are looking to try and win that match. Those games, always fun. Little nutmeg action, by the way.
McDermott looked offside on that one too, Aria. So I think she needs to make sure she's flattening her run out a little bit, kind of peeling out a bit more. It seems like they're really doing a good job, Virginia Tech, of holding their line as they watch her kind of peel forward into that space.
Absolutely. How do you go about that as an attacker when you see a high line? Is it just being a little bit more aware of where you begin your runs?
Yeah, I think it's being touch tight with your defender, pushing them forward vertically, and then actually slightly checking toward the ball and then making your run. So you actually kind of come backwards into the midfield slightly, and that pulls that line up. And then when you dart forward in behind them, that'll create even more space for you, and that also makes sure that you're onside.
So an early game plan from Virginia Tech, perhaps, to try and catch an aggressive Virginia team. Right now, so far, it has been all Virginia. They have had the better part of play. Possessing, looking fearless in attack, have the early goal on a mistake from the Hokies keeper, but playing with confidence. Cagle, that's a really good ball. Flamia on her left, looking for help, found it. But Hokies hold. Now in transition, dangerous Taylor Bryant, 3-on-3. Can Virginia Tech take advantage? Down one, first half. Oh, that ball let Taylor Bryant down.
It's a good example. All the teams teaching how to delay on the back line. That's kind of a perfect example. If you can put that film up and show that 3v3 and how the Virginia back line just delayed. They just dropped, and waited for Thea Rett and those center mids to kind of come back and help. And that dropping off of Brian kind of confused her, because essentially as she was dribbling, the line was dropping and tightening, and she just didn't know what to do with it, because you can't really shoot from there, and there were no lanes to play through. And so that's why she made the turnover. So really textbook, great example of that Virginia experience on the back line, dropping and delaying against a counter.
The ball in, flag did stay down, but Skinner's got it. Skinner with that early mistake.
Nicely. Yeah, I was just going to say, Ari, she was rebounded nicely from that. I mean, she had that 1v1 save against McDermott, which I think builds your confidence back up after you make a mistake like that. And she's looked good commanding her box. We've heard her obviously dictating her team.
Bryant has the angle. Ooh, smashed it just over the crossbar. But a bright moment for the visiting rivals.
Substitutions now for the Hokies.
Really good run. This is what makes de Guzman so dangerous. She penetrates centrally, pulls numbers to her, and then tries to slip Brian through. A great run by Brian as well. Great ball. Touch took her a little wide, I think. Be hard to roof it there against a player like Kayla White in the net, but really good run from Brian there.
Also, number 8, Allie Ross.
Chugger Adair, a quick word with Brian, who will take a seat. Virginia will also take the opportunity to get some fresh legs in. You mentioned Skinner response in net there, Jess. Have you liked the way Virginia Tech has responded to going down early as a team?
Yeah, I think they're trying to maintain possession. They're taking the wind out of Virginia's sails a bit. Obviously not giving up an immediate goal after is huge, as they were kind of reeling from the shock of that early goal. And I think they've been very organized in letting Virginia possess here. You can kind of see they're just letting Virginia knock it around in this space and trying to pick off any mistakes that they make. So I think they're playing really smart, really organized, but they've just got to maintain this the whole game, and it's hard to do when you don't have much of the ball, right? Like, it feels like you're chasing constantly, and so that's when it's really tough to keep up for the duration of a game. So they want to get some of the ball, that way they don't have to chase as much.
Stouty. Picked out Yapic for the time being. Dispossessed. Hokies trying to flip the field. Virginia Tech's had some bright moments as this first half has wore on. But again, Virginia has been tough. There's another whistle and a foul. Very physical from Virginia Tech so far. Cagle taking it, third foul on Virginia Tech. The Red also standing over the ball. Will be Cagle on the delivery. Ball pins around, leads to a shot. Well done by Skinner.
And Cagle, you see here, just puts it into the mixer and bounces around. Unfortunately, falls to one of the Who's.
Hokies are in here looking for the equalizer. Oh, pulled it wide left.
Cavaliers substitution now coming off, number 21, Chloe Yapic.
It was Natalie Mitchell.
And coming on, number 12, Anaya Collier.
I want to remind you that Saturday, the ACC Huddle crew will be with you for another full day of college football, starting with a 60-minute pregame show at 11 a.m. Eastern. They'll also have halftime shows and pre- and postgame shows throughout the day. Nice little dummy by Cagle. Creates space. Even better ball. You see the talent of a Maggie Cagle. There's Simbas. Turning. Looking for help. Theoret. A veteran midfielder. Now Guidry. Simbas. Cagle. Interception. Here we go. Pelkowski and Virginia Tech. Trying to catch Virginia a little out of position. But again, the Cavs up for the challenge. Win the ball back.
You saw that direct ball trying to find Cagle up top. I like that. I like that it mixes it up and trying to take advantage of Virginia Tech had pushed forward slightly there as they won the ball. So sometimes it's okay to send a direct ball if it's on and it just didn't get over the head of that back line. But that creativity and inventiveness that Virginia has is so important to their overall game plan, and they've just lacked a little bit of it this year. They lacked a little bit of that dynamic element up top. Coach Swanson says, yeah, it's a huge part of losing Godfrey. She kind of represents that in most ways, but it's also the youth, and he thinks it's going to be even better next year, more stronger in terms of kind of the different tools they have offensively. So he's really proud of the team and how they've stuck together through the injuries this year, but he does want to push them to kind of develop a bit more creatively up top.
Fourth foul on Virginia Tech. Steve Swanson, three-time ACC Coach of the Year.
And he said that, I mean, he's really proud of the soccer they've played, Virginia. It's just like they're missing this timely finish.
Got some younger players filling in big roles. Yapic with the goal here today, but coming in, Jess, 20 of the 24 goals by Virginia were from freshmen or sophomores. De Guzman to her dominant right foot. Scouted well.
I mean, the good news for Virginia, right, is you have a player like that, Stouty, and such an experienced back line that's really had these young players backs all season. I mean, their 5 front runners for Virginia are underclassmen. So it's really been the leadership of this back line and Stouty kind of driving this team and them sticking together through tough times. Some bad luck, the injuries, of course, and then just not being as opportunistic as they'd like.
Too much for Guidry. Check that is Anaya Collier in for Guidry.
Number 24, Natalie Mitchell. She's replaced by number 11, Ellie Farrell.
You see Coach talking to Natalie Mitchell there. She got in and had her chance, didn't she? She got behind, was one-on-one. And I just think that there's not going to be as many chances against this stout Virginia defense today. And you saw both Mitchell and Bryan really get a nice look against this squad. And the teams they've faced recently, like NC State, have been able to put those few chances away.
For the most part, Virginia has been defensively strong throughout the year. They've had bouts where they've given up some goals, especially in ACC play, as you mentioned. Foul called. And where we stand right now, 1-0. If you're just joining us, early in the contest, Japic was looking for Cagle. Right through the legs of Skinner.
A nightmare if you're a goalie, right? Just didn't get her hands down to the floor fast enough, but that's what constantly dumping balls into the box can do, and then just making runs. You never know. So that's why they always say, hey, take your chances, put it in the mix.
She did put it in the mix, and Virginia leads a 1-0. First goal of the year for Japic there in the 10th minute. Since then, though, Jesse, you feel like Virginia Tech's at least found some success in their game plan and what they want to do?
I think there's some positives. I think, they're trying to possess and penetrate. It's just not fast enough, right? It's got to be a lot quicker to break down this Virginia team that's just so quick and well organized. But they have gotten behind a couple of times and given Virginia some problems. So I think there's lots of positives, but I think Coach Adair is not going to be super happy with the intensity that's out there and that mentality. When it is a rivalry game, you got to bring it. You've got to really challenge the other team physically, and that's what Virginia Tech's known for. We just haven't seen it this half.
That was 18 Sarah Bruner into the match for Virginia on the initial run. Theoret. Simbas. Finding space. Carving it out. Finds teammate. Shot. Skinner has it. That was Maya Carter firing away. Friday's ACC PM with Mark Packer and Taylor Tannenbaum will get you set for another full weekend of college football. Friday at 4 Eastern on ACC Network and the ESPN app. Theoret. Time and space. Flamia. Virginia Tech recovering. Collier. To Maya Carter. Looking for the ball over the top. It'll be a goal kick.
Cavaliers substitution coming off, number 10, Maggie Cagle. She is replaced by number 6, Dagan Miller.
Coach Swanson calls Cagle the most sophisticated and dangerous player that's going to be on the pitch. And she was involved in the goal, of course. We've seen some of her fancy footwork already, but can they get her even more involved? I think that's key, is can she be that player that they find her feet every time they win possession? So that's kind of a challenge, I think, to this Virginia team, is when they have the ball, it's not enough just to keep it and then dump it in the offensive end. You've got to find your talented players' feet.
Keep going.
2 minutes left to play in the first half. Turnover. Virginia pushing forward. Picking out a pretty ball. Miller against Skyers. Skyers wins it. 90 seconds. Hokies looking for something late in the first. Be interesting to hear Steve Swanson's thoughts. We'll have him here as we wrap up the first half.
1 minute remaining.
60 seconds to play. Turnover. Space to operate. Carter. Hokies closing down in a hurry. And Carter just lost it 1v1. How about the defensive play there from Haugen? Hokies into the attack. On that flank, Collier got a foot on it. 35 seconds. You mentioned Maggie Cagle, Jess, as someone you want to see more involved for Virginia. What about Virginia Tech? Who do they turn to here?
I think as we teased in the beginning, Natalie Mitchell, they need to get her on the ball even more. I know she's been off quite a bit in this first half, but when she's on, they really need to find her feet. She is just such a talented playmaker in that attacking center midfield position. So she pushes forward, but she also playmakes, and just haven't called her name enough, have we, in this first half.
4, 3, 2, 1.
After 45 minutes, Jess, it'll be 1-0 in favor of Virginia. The early goal from Yapic.
Coaches are tracking Taylor Bryan. That means there's space open for Natalie Mitchell to drive into. So it's kind of a matter of timing, of seeing where those defenders pull off on Bryan and then playing with each other to expose that space and get in behind. And we saw them do it twice. I mean, they did a good job of doing it in that first half. They just couldn't find the back of the net. Got to do it a little bit more and then finally find that finish.
Virginia, winless on the year in ACC play. They are looking for their first victory and a start to the back end of this schedule that looks pretty promising for the Cavaliers as they try and make a late run to the NCAA tournament, perhaps still mathematically in it to make the ACC tournament. Up 1-0 right now. Deep press here for Virginia, Jess. 62%, by the way, in possession for the Cavaliers first half. Is that going to be the ingredients for a successful final 45 minutes?
I think that's what we expected, really, is they're going to have most of the ball. We saw that against NC State. But this is the problem on the other end.
Transition opportunities. It is Bryan with an early touch.
It's going to be tough for Bryan to beat a player like Stouty 1v1, and the graduate student's just so experienced. You touted her 100th game today. I mean, gosh, that is staggering to have that many games in a collegiate career, but taking her on 1v1, that is tough, tough task. So that's why you've got to have numbers for Virginia Tech to join Brian up top and help her when she's taking on.
Into space. First time ball. Deflected. Back to a defender, turning McDermott. Couldn't quite get the angle. Cagle crashing in, still loose. Pressure release for Virginia Tech. Oh, now Guidry. Flamia. On the right. Edge of the 18. First time ball. There for Ross. Skinner's got it. Now Skinner's out of her net. Ball Theoret just to the right of the post. Had an idea.
These mistakes is what Coach Adair was talking about, that they just can't do against good teams, is turn the ball over so deep in their defensive third that just basically gives a free shot to Theoret there. Probably should have done a little bit better to at least get that on frame, but felt rushed in the end. But ultimately, Virginia Tech just wants to be careful that they don't shoot themselves in the foot in that sense, because it's really hard to come back against a tough defense like Virginia's.
A foul on Virginia, just the second for the Cavaliers in this one. Not a team that gets overly physical. Only 5 yellow cards on the season. Skyers, pressure on her. Dispossessed. Theoret.
Lucky there from Cagle. She was already going off on her run before she had gotten the ball. But the sequence from Virginia is kind of what we saw against NC State, where they were high pressing and relentless toward the end, but just couldn't get many clear looks on goal. They did end up hitting the crossbar twice against NC State. But a lot of these balls into the box are kind of half chances, really. They're not really getting that perfect look where it's just a tap in or a clear shot. It's a lot of balls bouncing across the frame. So can they, when they do get in deep here, find a clear pass inside that box?
Towards that 6-yard box, the penalty spot running on. Decent chance there for Virginia. The ACC's Committee for Racial and Social Justice, in conjunction with its member institutions, have identified October 14th to 22nd as ACC Unity Week. As a part of this initiative, members of the Virginia Tech Hokies and Virginia Cavaliers join one another on the field to demonstrate their commitment to seeing each other as equals and treating each other with respect and dignity at all times, recognizing that our differences don't divide us but make us stronger. This is a positive run-in for Virginia Tech. Towards that back post, Kayla White snags it. Dispossession, blow by. Mitchell onto her right foot. She's dangerous. Looking for Brian. Nothing doing. Here's McCormack. Throw in Virginia. Flamia. Across midfield. A lot of time here for the Cavaliers. Stouty will pull it forward. McCormick, Cagle peeling off that run. Penalty spot. And Ross took a deflection.
So just another example there, where they had 3 runners in the box, but the ball was sent behind all 3 of them, and they had to backtrack to try and corral that. So I think that's just something to continue to work on for Virginia is, can they be a little bit more patient and pick runners out a bit more, near post slot, far post, instead of just sending it into the box and being hopeful. These kind of hopeful crosses aren't working for them very well. It's the ones where they actually get their head up and pick each other out. Those are the ones that were really threatening against NC State and threatening here today.
Cagle. Ross had a goal last week against NC State. Now Virginia Tech in transition. Mitchell. McCormack into space. Cagle, dangerous winger. Maggie Cagle, the sophomore. McDermott. Guidry. Cagle, left-footed. Goal kick. Yeah, it's a Virginia program that if you look in the last decade or so, it's just a juggernaut offensively. And you see it's not really that close, Jess. These Cavs under Steve Swanson, they put the ball in the net. It's prolific. It's a team that, again, has that pedigree, right? It has the formations. It has the tactics. Just young right now and trying to figure things out with chemistry amidst an injury-prone season.
Yeah, and they've had quite literally some of the best players to ever come through this program who helped contributed to those goals, right? And they also lost Haley Hopkins from last year, their leading goal scorer. She had 14 goals on the season. Leah Godfrey had 8. Alexis Spantra had 8. They lost those players who were the huge goal producers from a year ago. Some of them graduated and some are on the injury list, as you can see there. So Godfrey, the one that's kind of the big news from this team that should be on the pitch really and getting a lot of goals for this team.
Cagle has stepped in well. This shot opportunity, Skinner comes up huge.
This is exactly what we want from Virginia, is Maggie Cagle penetrating, getting in line, getting her head up, poking it out to the player that's hot right now, Allie Ross at the top of the box there. Beautiful shot, really. First time shot. I think they need more of that as well. Sometimes I feel like Virginia's dancing on the ball a little too much, maybe 1 or 2 touches too much. They need to just rip it. And a great opportunity there from Ross, but up to the task was Skinner.
Virginia nearly had another opportunity right off the bat, too.
Hitting another crossbar there from Guidry, who had pushed forward. I think Coach Swanson talked about how he really wants her to get forward more, and she's done a really good job of that this game. I think pushing much more into the attack than she was able to do against NC State.
5 second-half shots here for Virginia. They have been on the front foot. McDermott on the left. She's through. One thing left to do. Skinner, the rebound is in. Allie Ross, in as many games, doubles the lead for Virginia against their rivals.
It felt like it was coming, didn't it, Aria? But sometimes it doesn't for Virginia. But this time, the confidence from McDermott to just drive, use her pace, go at the keeper, and then a good initial save there. But this is what goal scorers do. Allie Ross there to pick it up, following it in, and then nice and easy guides it into the back of the net with her head. Oftentimes, that's what goal scorers do. They're in the right place at the right time. They put themselves in those positions to be there for their teammates. So now Ross, McDermott, Cagle tied for the team lead there with 6 goals apiece. So encouraging for this young front line. Remember, all underclassmen, with the freshman Ross getting on board again.
Just a highly ranked recruit, talented. Virginia, a top 5 recruiting ranking class coming into the year for Steve Swanson. It's young, it's inexperienced, but the future oh so bright for the Cavs. Is a foul there. McCormick going down. Cormack drops it back. Stouty. McCormack again. Yapich. Now what do you do if you're Virginia Tech, Jess? Down 2 goals. Do you change tactics? Do you have to go for it a little bit more? Do you send numbers forward? Plenty of time, but you do have to find something.
Yeah, lots of time, but first thing is they've got to move the ball quicker. That slow pace of the pass is what created kind of that hospital ball there that McDermott was pressuring. They're just a little too slow, and it's just allowing Virginia to collapse on them, win the ball easy, and then it's creating more turnovers as well because Virginia's closing space, and it's hard to get the ball around them. So you've seen kind of like Virginia players stick their leg out and disrupt a pass into some channels. So I think it's just a matter of playing the ball much faster and then playing more penetrating balls earlier. So it's okay to swing it across the back, but when you're down 2 goals, you need to have more urgency. You need to make sure, and you try to find Natalie Mitchell in the middle or Brian up top with maybe your second or third pass if you can.
This is positive for Virginia Tech. A distance shot blocked. Second chance corner coming for the Hokies. Now on a set piece.
Coming corner for the Hokies.
It's a good look at de Guzman, who's been really dangerous on that right side, but again, not having much of the ball on that side. So it's kind of been stuck at the other end because Virginia is doing such a good job of pressing and maintaining the ball on the other side of the field. So that's what Virginia Tech's got to do, is break out of it and find these talented front runners.
A prime opportunity to cut the lead in half. Skyers towards that 6. Stouty was there to meet it. There's a clip. Foul called. Going down. Rosella Carter. Do want to remind you, next Sunday, we'll have more afternoon women's soccer for you. 7th-ranked Clemson playing host to Pitt. That should be a lot of fun. Catch all the action starting at 2 Eastern on ACC Network and the ESPN app. the box. Ross, the goal scorer. Edge of the 18, Cagle. To her right foot, creates some space, has a go! Whistles just over the bar.
Some beautiful play from Virginia here. Started out of the back from a nice long ball from McCormick, and then just being patient up top, making lots of runs to kind of pull apart that Virginia Tech defense. That allowed Cagle to take a touch, come across, get a nice look on goal.
Towards that 6-yard box, pressure put on this Virginia back line. Really good work there from Lacey McCormick. Up ahead, Cagle. Flag staying down. Cagle trying to cut it back to her right foot, and does. Turning, firing, oh, that's as good as it gets. Maggie Cagle take a bow. It's a golazo.
Kind of a similar spot to where she was just a minute ago, taking a shot, and I think she really wanted that one back, and she was like, you know what, I just took one from here, I know now I need to curl it a little bit more inside that post, and so she got it. It's kind of like taking a basketball shot and you're off a little bit the first time you shoot it, and then you just slightly for your second shot from a similar location, and she nailed that one. You could tell she really wanted it after just missing that one. She was feeling it, it felt like, before the game. She was pumped up, ready to go, excited to be out there. Remember, they had Thursday off, so they had a lot of good rest, and it seemed like they were hungry, this Virginia team. They were home, and they wanted to kind of prove themselves. So this is a really good performance from them across the board.
That ball was nothing but net from Cagle. She even silenced the crowd. I don't know if she was silencing the Virginia Tech team. Certainly you're not telling your own fan base to hush. It's been all Virginia. They have needed points. They have set themselves up to get those points. Feel-good game coming, Jess, right? You've struggled to score goals this season, especially in conference play. To have this kind of coming out party against your rivals, hopefully build some momentum for the Cavaliers. They might not be done yet, by the way. Just a delicious ball, just a little too heavy for Ross. It will be a corner for Virginia, but they need this momentum toward the back third of this season as they try and close things out.
Very much so, offensively especially, right? I mean, those three ties, I mean, I think they feel like they really should have won, could have won, and then just had some bad luck in that NC State game that they dominated, outshot NC State 20-6 and somehow lost 2-1. They're kind of probably flabbergasted at that and how that could have happened. So they just, it seemed like you said, it was a matter of time where things actually start falling for them and going their way.
Now Valente in. Corner towards that back post. Twenty-four and a half minutes to play. Skinner. Oh, giveaway. Virginia. Dominant so far here today at home. Too heavy for Cagle, even a player of her caliber. Hokies looking for one, just a lifeline. Edge of the 18, on the turn. To that back post, White was a little bit off her line, but recovered very quickly. Very good work from the keep.
That was good work from Virginia Tech. That's somewhere they've had a lot of success, is shooting from outside the box. Coach Adair's kind of emphasized that if there's a bunch of bodies inside the 18, then look to do just this, which is curl it around the keeper, Kayla White. Just not enough bend to hit that far post, but they've been doing really well shooting from outside the 18. So look to have a few more chances like that here from Virginia Tech.
McCormack on that left flank. It'll be a throw-in for Virginia. Carter. Still Carter. .22 minutes to play from Klockner Stadium. It's been all Virginia in Charlottesville. That cross, Collier will have it. Aria Masudi, Jessica Stamp, a pleasure to be here on this afternoon for the Commonwealth Claff. Cagle. Three in the net for Virginia, a team that had struggled to score, and it was Yapich, Ross, and Cagle. It has come from really every line for this Virginia team, and it has come from important spots, especially when you look at Ross and Cagle. They're going to need to get going, right, Jess, as Virginia makes this run late in the year.
Yeah, and they've done a really good job up top of just consistently being dangerous. They're getting into spaces. They're taking on. They look very confident up top. So, I was a little worried with that NC State game that they lost this past week, if that would discourage this team. But it seems like they've come home, they've gotten their rest, and they're hungry today. I mean, they're hungry for that first ACC win. You're seeing that in the goals.
3 for Virginia. This is a goal kick. That looked like a touch from Virginia Tech, and I think it's got Virginia confused as well. The remaining schedule for this Virginia team, and we talked about why today was so important, Jess. It's because these last 3 games, on paper, you feel like Virginia has got a really good shot of taking 9 points.
And really turning their season around, right, in the ACC. I mean, it really could flip their story. And what kind of story do they want to have this year? I mean, do they want to be the team that doesn't get into the ACC tournament, the first one ever for Virginia, don't get into the NCAAs, or do they want to turn it on here and write their own story, which is winning out and beating all these teams that they really should beat, especially these 3 games in a row at home. They know that they have a comfort and confidence on this field, and they can win those games and should win those games. So this response to some really discouraging results, especially this past week, this tough week, has been, I think, a super positive for this team, and hopefully they can keep this mentality for those final games.
Nice work from Skyers. What's impressed you most about this Virginia team here this afternoon?
I think just the constant pace, the constant mentality, the high press. They're just going. And I love this kind of new term we're knocking around in soccer, which is relentlessness, right? This relentless mentality of we're going to be all over you all the time, and then we're going to come at you constantly. We're never going to have these lulls in play. And some of that's fitness and some of that's depth, but a lot of it's just mentality and kind of the character of your team. What kind of team do you want to be? So I really like that sense of urgency that's been constant. You don't really see these long periods where they're just swinging it across the back and just not penetrating at all. They're just kind of going at you constantly. It's hard to keep up with if you're Virginia Tech.
Now the Hokies still with 17.5 left.
Again, Virginia very organized there, right? Just so many white jerseys on the left side of your screen. You're just, what do you do? How do you break that down? They're doing such a good job at getting bodies behind the ball that when Virginia Tech tries to attack, there's just not a lot of space up there.
Collier. With Virginia leading by 3, Skyers. We've got a Thursday women's soccer doubleheader where Boston College will be in Winston-Salem squaring off against Wake Forest at 6 Eastern. And then number 3, North Carolina hosting 11th ranked Notre Dame in Chapel Hill. Should be a great night of soccer right here on ACC Network and the ESPN app. Yapich, early goal got things started for Virginia. And what has been a welcomed afternoon for the Cavalier faithful. Cagle, pretty move to spin Skyers, and then she's fouled. Smile on her face.
Little different vibe, isn't it, Arya, than that NC State game? There weren't a lot of smiles when they were being fouled in that game. It was a pretty frustrating physical game for Virginia. Cagle actually had a head injury that game and was doubtful coming into this one.
Oh, on a day in which you score goals as well, that'll put a happy face on everyone wearing white this afternoon. They had only scored 3 goals, Jess, in their previous 3 contests. One against NC State, Clemson, and Duke. And they'd had a couple of draws, a loss last week, as you mentioned. And so today, again, it has been kind of a sigh of relief, so to speak, for Virginia. Not that there's not work left to do, but you see the dichotomy there. And you see the struggles in ACC play today. You hope is a step forward if you're Steve Swanson.
For sure. I mean, it's just pretty staggering, the struggles they've had this year. I mean, this is a storied program that is so good year in and year out, and they've just never had to deal with this type of a streak where they're struggling to score and get results. And like I mentioned, you know, at the top of our broadcast, it's essentially really difficult to stay at the top and be very good year in and year out. It is just mind-blowing that this program has been able to do that, Virginia, and had the talent come through that we know, right? Morgan Bryan and Diana Ordonez. I mean, those types of players. So, I mean, it's not a position they're used to being in, but at the end of the day, it's just game to game, right? All you can control is what you can control. And they came out today, executed their game plan really well, and that's all they can really do, and then kind of stuff falls where it will. And today it finally seems like they've gotten some justice on their side with these goals falling for them.
Chugger Adair told us this week that Virginia plays better at home, so we expect an improved performance by them against us. This shot not going to test Skinner, but Virginia program, you mentioned the success, and Steve Swanson, who is closing in on 500 career wins. No stranger to victories. Cavaliers looking for a 4th. Skinner has that one easily on the shot from Flamia. Look at the shot disparity. 18-8 for the Cavaliers. Even more dominant in the second half. And a Virginia program who just made a College Cup in 2020. Not that far removed.
No, and they lost to the eventual national championships last year in the Elite 8, right? UCLA 2-1, and played them really well. So it's a surprise their position they're in right now, but understandable with the losses they've had offensively throughout the team, and then just some bad luck, but also, again, the parity of the ACC. ACC is just so good. Things have to fall for you. And we've seen dips with teams like UNC, Notre Dame, who are back up there. It's really hard for 25 plus years to be at the top like that. Usually you have a down year. In fact, West Virginia, also a team they just played last year and this year, has had similar success and has had their struggles this year and last year as well. So, you know, this is not an uncommon story for powerhouse teams. It's just, it seems to be happening to Virginia right now.
Carter. Looking for help. Able to find it. On the turn, Sponstra. That's Sponstra. I'm used to watching Sponstra last season dominate. That was Theoret. A foul called on Virginia Tech. A yellow card issued as well to Avery Visage.
It's just a late slide in there, pretty dangerous on Flamia that could have really been something that caused her some problems, but now it's at a nice spot, as you see Kegel and Theoret talking about it there at the top of the box. This should be a shot on goal for this squad. So this the officiating today is not really in favor of Virginia Tech. They've been calling pretty much everything, anything that knocks Virginia off the ball they've been calling, but that was an obvious one there.
Dangerous opportunity. Virginia looking for the hammer. That's a really good ball. It had just missed the upper left 90 from Theoret.
UVA substitutions coming off. Number 10, Maggie Kegel. She's replaced by number 6, Dagan Miller. Also coming off,
yeah, just lean back a little bit there. You can see it. That's what lifted it up just slightly to hit that top corner. If she had kind of leaned over it maybe a little bit more, got her knee up over the ball, might have tucked under that upper 90.
Dagan Miller in for Kegel. And Jopic back in.
But I think also this response from Virginia, Aria, with you seeing all these smiles, is kind of like just letting go the negativity, right? And just having fun again. I mean, this is what you dream about as a college soccer player, is playing for Virginia on this pitch. I mean, so many players across the country know about Klockner, know about this pitch and the stadium, soccer specific, right? The fans are right there. The grass is immaculate. Like, this is what you dream about. And so I think that joy coming back for these players at home is really important for them to kind of reset their perspective.
Playing loose, playing light. That was a good 1-2 combination. As Guidry on the line. You see the crowd packed it in here again. They get at Klockner. They are a passionate fan base at Virginia. Both men's and women's soccer having a ton of success.
Virginia Tech substitution.
On Saturday, the ACC Huddle crew will be with you for another full day of college football, starting with a 60-minute pregame show at 11 a.m. Eastern. They'll also have halftime shows and pre- and post-game shows throughout the day. Here's the turn here. Popped into the air and over the bar. That was Miller who got ahead on it.
Look at this great turn, and that's a forwards turn, using the body of the defender on your back to turn her. McDermott gets in behind and then squares it back for Miller there. Just unlucky. It just kind of came at her so fast, she just had to react. But I love this confidence from McDermott up top here, as the sophomore really didn't get a lot of playing time last year. She had an illness she was dealing with as a freshman. Coach Swanson talked about how he's been really impressed with her coming on this year. She had a great spring, expected a lot from her up top, essentially in a freshman season, since she didn't get that much playing time a year ago. And you just see that confidence. I love that in a young player. She's really feeling it right now, McDermott up top.
Coming on, number 2, Riley McCarthy.
On that flip side, as McCarthy comes in for George. Jess, if you're Virginia Tech, how do you try and dump this one? How do you learn from this one? Because you're probably going to fall off that 6th line, right? But there is still 3 games left and some opportunities to get resume-building victories for the NCAA tournament and to potentially, again, make it to that ACC tournament here at the end of the regular season.
Yeah, I think Coach Adair is kind of a very logical person, and he knows this is a tough game. Virginia at home, they are very good despite their record. So I think he's thinking, look, if we're going to play good teams and they're on that day, we have to be good ourselves. And I just think Virginia Tech hasn't been very good today. They have a higher ceiling and potential. So I think he feels like, look, going against Duke, we're going to have to play our best, because if they play really well, we need to have a chance to put ourselves in good position. But today they just didn't quite bring it against Virginia, and you just can't do that against really good teams. So, that's the only way a team like Virginia is going to beat you 3-0 or however this ends out, is if you don't play your best on the day, and they do. And that's what Virginia, I think, has done. They looked really good today, and Virginia Tech just doesn't have any answers.
Hokies trying to find something late, something to build upon. It's been a day in which Virginia has just dominated start to finish. It has belonged to the Cavaliers, and this will be their first victory since September 3rd against VCU.
That was some good play there from the Hokies. And this is something Coach Adair kind of mentioned to us, is they'll play really good in spurts, just not consistent enough to get some of these closer results that they're really wanting. And so you have seen that today. They did get those two real good opportunities in the first half. They've looked good on the ball in moments, really possessing well, like you just saw right there, but just not enough of it, not quick enough. And like he said, they're just not at the point right now where they seem to be able to string 90 minutes of that quality together.
It'll be interesting to see how this Virginia Tech team responds, Jess. And again, the opportunities there, that's what makes this time of year so much fun, right? You only get 3 regular season games left. Every single one is important, especially for teams on the bubble like Virginia and Virginia Tech. And it's going to be a ton of fun to monitor as we get closer and closer to postseason play.
And this is where teams have to really dig in, right? Dig deep, because you've already had such a long season. You're kind of physically and mentally taxed at this point. You saw the rough game against Virginia last week. NC State were just injury was happening on the pitch, and they had to recover from that. So it's what teams have that mentality to kind of dig deep too, and bring their A game when they're kind of feeling the depth of this season, because this is the time, right as it gets toward playoffs, you have to dig to try to get over that hump into these tournaments. And then when you get in there, it's almost like a whole new season, right? Because your adrenaline kind of takes hold, because every single game could knock you out, be the end for your seniors. But now's the time where they really have to dig deep.
Skyers looks to be okay, trying to shake off that hit.
Virginia Tech substitution. Replacing number 28, Ian Skyers. Number 7, Avery Farrington.
Final few moments here in Charlottesville. Virginia, 3 more goals here today after 3 against these Hokies last season. A team that had struggled offensively as of late. Injuries building, leadership depleting. But today will definitely be a moment to build upon for Steve Swanson as they push to the back slate of their schedule. 3 games left, all winnable for Virginia. Steve Swanson's going to feel good. It'll be the first victory since early September and a first ACC victory of this 2023 campaign. And then for Virginia Tech, you lick your wounds a little bit. But again, you got a big one coming up. And no time really to dwell because you're right on the bubble to make the ACC tournament and right on the bubble to make the NCAA tournament in one of the best leagues in the game. Response going to be important. Final thoughts from this one, Jessica?
I've just been really impressed with Virginia. As we see, they're not stopping. They're going here till the final whistle. Dermott taking it to the corner there, but really impressed. They played well the entirety of the game. I think that's what you have to do in this conference. It's just so competitive. And they finished, right? And they finished in a number of ways. That's what they want to do, is not just finish, but be unpredictable. I thought they were unpredictable up top. Some great runs. They mixed things up, opened things up for Cagle with those runs to get her beautiful goal. And were solid defensively across the board. Really, Kayla White didn't have to do a whole lot, did she, in the back of the net? For Virginia Tech, I think they just need to rise to the occasion a little bit more. They just lacked a bit of the intensity that Virginia did. And then they just need to take care of the ball better. They gave the ball away a little too much when they had their strings of possession. So some positives to take away for Virginia here. And I think Virginia Tech, just be myopic, let this one go, and move on to another big one.
I want to thank producer Sean Fulton, director Michael Slammer Slamowitz, my great stats man.